finding inverses, okay? And that's what this is all about. But I want to connect this back to something we've already done. Reduced row echelon form. And that's what's up on the blackboard still. It's what you just took your quiz on Tuesday. And you guys, for the most part, are doing really well. So the first thing I need to do here is I need to make row 1, this 2 right here, I need to somehow make it into a 1. How can I do that? I could divide it by 2. And here's my problem. And you could do that, and it's perfectly fine. There's one thing I hate, Jess, and it's fractions. So if I divide it by 2, I'm dividing all those by 2. I don't want those fractions. So is there another way I could come up with the number 1 without having fractions? Okay. So you are saying, row 2 times negative 1. And then you say minus row 1. I'm actually going to say plus negative 1 times row 1 because I hate subtraction. That's the only reason. Okay, that's perfectly right. How'd you start it? Oh, you could start it that way. But I like to start it with making that a 1 and then using that. Okay? So I'm going to multiply this by negative 1. 3, negative 1, 0, negative 1. And I'll multiply row 1 by negative 1. Negative 2, 1, negative 1, 0. That's like my workspace right there. Okay? So now I get to rewrite it. This is still a negative 3, a 1, a 0, and a 1. Okay, let's make that 0 and the 1 a little nicer, right? 0 and 1. If I add these, I get 1, 0. Oh, look how nice that was. It automatically made that 0, didn't it? Negative 1, negative 1. Huh. So I really only have one more thing I need to do. What do I need to do? I need to make that 3 into a 0, right? Or I'm sorry, yeah, into a 0. So I'm going to multiply row 1 by what number? And add it to row 2. So I'm going to write my workstage over here again, just like before. 3, 0, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, 1, 0, 1. Okay. So the top row stays the same. 1, 0, negative 1, negative 1. Bottom row becomes 0, 1, negative 3, negative 2. Oops. Let's try one more time here. Negative 2. Good. Negative 3 plus 1 gives me negative 2. Okay. Let me hit pause. So just so you know, what you just found right there, by using the identity and switching the identity from the right side over to the left side, you found the inverse of our original matrix. You found it. Now, for a 2 by 2, there's actually another way you can find an inverse. So you can do it this way, using the reduced row echelon form. Or there's another way, which is a formula that we learned basically in Algebra 2, but then we went to the calculator straight in Algebra 2. So our original matrix here is 2, negative 1, negative 3, and 1. Well, the formula we need to use needs the determinant. So the first thing I need you to do right now is to find the determinant of this 2 by 2 matrix. So my determinant here, if I take 2 times 1, I get 2. Negative 1 times negative 3 is 3, and I subtract, I get negative 1. So the way you find your inverse is you take 1 over your determinant. So far, okay? Now, all we do now is we switch the 1 and the 2. So the 2 goes up here and the 1 goes down here. Oops. I said switch even. That's the funny thing. Okay, the 1 goes up there, the 2 goes down there. You guys do it too? And so, this diagonal switch. And now the other diagonal, all they do, they have to switch in some way. They switch signs. So these were negative. They become positive. Now, all right, so now I still have one more thing to do. I've got 1 over my determinant. What is 1 divided by negative 1? And I can distribute my negative 1 into my answer. So my new answer for my inverse would be negative 1, negative 1, negative 3, negative 2. Take a look at what I got up here. It is. So it's 2 ways to do the exact same process, right? So like I just said, for a 2 by 2, you have a formula, a very easy formula. For a 3 by 3, now you have to do some work. So, using what you just took a quiz on, you already have the first number a 1. The next thing you need to do is to make the 3 into a 0. Go ahead. To make this a 0, I'm going to take row 1 times negative 3 and add it to row 2. 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. This one down here will stay 0, negative 1, 0. 0, 0, 1. Oh, I should have probably done something else. What should I have done? Should I do something I could have done that would have made it a lot easier? You want to do that? Or did you already make the 0? Okay, so we'll make the 0. If I would have switched these 2 rows, this would be a 0, negative 1. I could multiply this row by negative 1. 0, 1, 0. Yeah, I would have saved myself some time. But, okay. If I multiply this by negative 3, I get 0. Negative 3, that would be 2. Negative 3, that would be 1. Negative 3. Negative 3. Negative 3. You guys agree? Make sure. Okay. What did you do? That's why. That's fine. That's okay. All right, what do you guys want to do next? You want me to switch the bottom and middle one now? Yeah. Okay. So if I switch the bottom and middle ones, I get 1, 1, 1, 0. Can I do something a little different? And I guess this would be up to Kaylin. She's normally the one that says no, which is fine. I'm going to switch row 1 and row 2. I'm sorry, row 2 and row 3. But I'm also going to multiply this by negative 1 at the same time. So I'm switching them and multiplying, so then I get 0, 1, 0. Good to go. And then over here, that would be 0, 0, negative 1. You like that? If I do it all in one line, I don't have to multiply later. This bottom line then is 0, 2, 1. Negative 3, 1, 0. Top line is still 1, 0, 0. All right. So Saka just said, could I do row 1 minus row 2 to make that top one a 0? Yes. Row 1 minus row 2. And right here, what would I do to make that a 0? Row 2 times negative 2 plus row 3. Remember, once you make your 1, you want to use it. Okay? So if I do the top, I get 1, 0. Row 1 minus row 2. That would be a 1, 1, 0, 1. That's the only thing you have to be tricky about or careful about, Ryan, is 0 minus negative 1 is positive 1. So then I get 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, negative 1, and then row 2 times negative 2 plus row 3. So 0, 1, oh, that's nice. Negative 3, 1, and 2.
Oh, wait, you multiply.
Yep. So far, okay? I only have one thing left to do. What is it? Make that there 1 and 0. Okay. So I'm going to take row 1 minus row 3. 0, 0, 1, negative 3, 1, 2. I'm copying first so I don't make a mistake there. Okay, row 1 minus row 3. 1 minus negative 3 would be 4. 0 minus 1. 1 minus 2. Okay. So the inverse of that one, of the original, is this. So for this problem, the first thing I'm going to do is write a coefficient matrix. 1, 3, 4. 2, 7, 5, 3, 10, 4. We'll get to that in a minute. Okay? You've already done that, right? You've done it this year? The only thing is on the other side, you actually wrote the answers. Okay. Well, the next matrix I'm going to write is an x, y, and z. Those are my variables. 7, 10.7. Okay. We did. Now, notice now we don't have a calculator in front of us. We're not going to do this whole problem today. But let's just discuss it. What do I have to do first? What would I have to do with... How do I solve this problem? 3x equals 9. What do you know divide by 3? It's the opposite. What's another word for opposite? So you mean I had to use the inverse of 3 times? So here I have to use the inverse of this matrix, right? So take a minute and find the inverse of this 3 by 3 matrix on your own. Go for it.